Okay, today I'm going to do the rear brakes. I've already done one side, but I want to try to beat this storm. It started raining a little while ago. It's been quite a while since I've done a set of rear pads. Matter of fact, I've only done one set in my life, and the reason for that is you hardly ever wear rear pads out. The fronts wear it all the time, but the rear pads hardly ever go bad. Or at least I'm usually done with the car before they go bad. It's a little bit different procedure. Let me explain what I'm going to do. Now on the front pads, what I did is I wedged a screwdriver in there, opened the bleed valve, and kind of pried the caliper back. You can't do that with the back because the calipers actually spin out. And the reason they do that is so they stay tight up against the rotor. Not tight, but just right there. Because when you pull the emergency brake, it pulls this lever, puts a little pressure on this caliper, and holds those pads up against there. So I've got a special tool that you have to use to spin that in, and the one for my car, they don't have. Like everything on a Mazda, it's a weird size. So I'll show you what I did to that tool when I get to that point when I have to spin the calipers on. But what I'm going to do is take this spring off, take these two bolts out. I've already disconnected the emergency brake by putting a pair of vice grips on here, pulling this lever in and pulling that emergency brake line off. See, it's got a little fitting here that fits around this ball. I pulled the brake line off here. Let me see if I can rotate the camera a little bit. See, it fits in a fitting there. So when I get to the point, I'll show you what I'm doing. Okay, I've taken both these shoulder bolts out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stick a screwdriver here. I'm going to pry that caliper out of there. It's a little more difficult because there's not as much room as I would have on the front brakes. Sometimes what you have to do is you have to put a screwdriver on top and on bottom and kind of bring it out like this. Anyway, you get the idea. I'll be back with you in a few. Okay, and I've got the caliper loose. The reason I decided to change the rear pads is I heard some grinding noise when I applied the brakes, and I thought it might be down to the rivets. Here's the old pads. There's some scar marks in there, and that's not from me. Let's see if you can see this. These pads are pretty thin, worn down a long time. See this groove here? That's from the rotor. I should probably replace those, but I'm not going to. See this metal backing's coming off. Maybe that's part of what the grinding noise. See, it's all rusted. I've got the caliper out here. And what I'm going to do, let me just show you, and then I'll turn the camera off and I'll come back with you. Let's see if you can see. Sorry guys. Let's see. I'll see if I can get a better angle. Okay, now you can see that. What happens with this piston is that as you use the brakes over the years, this piston starts to twist out. Okay? And as I said, it stays like that. It twists out so that when you use the emergency brake, it actually holds. So you need a special tool to reach in there, that goes in there, and you can spin it back down in. Now, as I said, Mazda is a weird size for everything. So I just take the brake tool I had, and I had to modify it because these things were a little too wide and they were too big. So I took my Dremel tool and I used the cutting wheel and I cut down in there so that I can make it fit. See if you can see that. You can see the Dremel tool marks. You don't want to grind on it because it'll make it smooth and sloped. You want a nice, clean, sharp edge. So I used my Dremel tool with a cutoff wheel to modify this tool that I had for my car. So just FYI. So let's see if I can give you a good angle. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to set this caliper here like this. I'm going to put this tool down in there. Now it doesn't fit perfectly, even though I modified it. And I'm going to put this ratchet on here. It'd be nice if I had a tool that actually fit, but you know, beggars can't be choosers, or you know, we take what we have. But I'm going to spin this at the same time I'm pushing down on this ratchet. And I'll be back with you guys in a few minutes because I'm going to do this on my own, but you get the point. Just wanted to show you guys something I just discovered, and that is that this little rubber boot has come off its lip. You see there's a little ridge here? This boot is supposed to be stuffed up in there. I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm going to wind this back down and let it go, and if I have a problem with it in the future, then I'll replace the caliper. But I just wanted to show you that. So let's see, were you able to see that? Maybe. I'll be back with you guys in a few minutes. Okay, it's starting to go. So to show you what I'm doing, I'm tightening that rotor back, excuse me, I'm tightening that piston back inside the brake caliper. See, if you can see it's going down. So anyway, I'm going to continue like that, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, and here's what it looks like after I wound it all the way down. See, I've got all that room for my new pads. After I'm done doing this, I'm going to have Jill come out and pump the brakes so I can bleed these brakes just to make sure I didn't get any air in the line. But I'll show you what it looks like after I put it all back together. Okay, I decided to go ahead and show you this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the pads in there first, and then I'm going to slide the caliper on top of that. So that's the front pad. See, it's got these springs in the back. I think those are anti-chatter plates. I think those are designed to keep squealing out of the brakes. Okay, so I put those on there, and I'm going to go ahead and put this guy back on here. And then I'm going to put these shoulder bolts back in on both sides, and then I'm going to tighten these up. Okay, these bolts aren't tightened yet, they're shoulder bolts, but I've got them started. So I'm going to put the spring back in. So I'm going to put that there. Got my rubber mallet in hand. And then I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to try to pry this guy down. Whoops. Okay. See if I can hold that there. Pry this spring down here. There we go. I'm going to use my rubber mallet and pound it the rest of the way in. And now I'm ready to turn these shoulder bolts in, and I'll show you how I put the emergency brake line back on. Okay, and it's starting to sprinkle, but I gotta finish this job, so I'm gonna take the brake line, and I'm gonna put that fitting right in there. There, it's in. Here's the emergency brake line. So that just fits through here. There's a part in the caliper housing. And let's see if I can give you a good view here. What I do. I'm going to take my vice grips, and I'm going to put it on this little lever. There, and I'm going to tighten it up, and I'm going to push the lever in, and just push that brake line back in, that emergency brake. That's a complete side. It's all done. So now I'm going to have Jill come out and bleed the brakes. So what she's going to do is she's going to pump on the brakes, and then I'm going to loosen this valve and make sure no air comes out. I'll show you that process too, I guess. Okay, go ahead and pump it up 5 times and then hold it. Okay, Jill's going to pump the brake, and she's going to hold the brake pedal. And then I'm going to let the air out. Let me know when you're ready.
Oh, I did it.
Oh, you did? Is it holding?
Yeah.
All right, hold on a minute, please. Okay, can you do it again? And let me know when you're holding it. Okay, here we go. Okay, that's good. Thank you. Okay, so that's a done side. I'm going to put the wheel back on and tighten up the lug nuts and let the jack down, and that is a done deal. The reason I changed these brake pads out in the first place is because I thought I saw some grooves in the rotor here, which would indicate it was down to the rivets. I don't even know if they put rivets in brake pads anymore. I think they might bind them on with glue, but who knows what they were. But anyway, I heard some grinding, and I looked at the pads and they were really thin, so I thought that's where my noise was coming from. So I changed them out, and we'll see how it goes from now. But at any rate, I've got new brakes all the way around.